Good night, everyone. Welcome to AS Testimony Talk Show. I'm your host, Akeem Smith, and it is another beautiful Sunday where we all come together and listen. Each individual's testimony. Tonight, with me, I have a special guest from the USA. Their name is Mr. and Mrs. Hardy, and they will be sharing their testimony how they basically overcame the situation that they was basically facing. They're they has been married or have been married for 16 years and struggled to start a family due to lack of ovaries. But now they are expecting a baby boy. I know for sure that you would like to know whether they're expecting a baby girl or a baby boy. Again, welcome to AS Testimony Talk Show, and it is always a pleasure to be your host. It's always a pleasure. And you know that every single week, before we get into it, I ask you all, just to share the broadcast where your friends, your family, your neighbors can be a part of this wonderful work of the Most High God. So again, before I go into it, I going to take this time out to welcome every single person or every single one again to AS Testimony Talk Show. I really appreciate you all that you always take the time out to be a part of my talk show. And to all my new subscribers, welcome to tonight's broadcast. I am happy to have you. And so with me, I saw my spiritual dad. Thank you so much for joining. Welcome to you. Again, as you join, please remember to like, comment, subscribe, and share the link where persons can also be a part of this work. So again, guys, before I invite my guests on the screen or put them on the screen again, they have been married for over 16 years. They struggle to start a family, but due to lack of ovaries, but now they are expecting they are expected a baby. So I want to know if whether or not they will be expecting whether a baby boy or a baby girl, or yeah, or maybe twin. Or maybe twin. I want to take the time out to welcome Sister Tanisha Booth. Welcome. Sister Patrina Johnson. Welcome. Thank you so much for joining. Again, as you join, please remember to invite your friend, to invite your family. And today is a beautiful Sunday. Today is a beautiful Sunday, and I'm feeling so blessed that I'm alive. I'm feeling so blessed. Even today at church was so powerful, and yeah, I'm just so feeling excited to be alive, to be on top of my grave. Many persons didn't get a chance to live to see today, but we are here, and so we have to give God thanks for another um, day that He have granted unto us. So right now, I'm going to get right into it. I'm not gonna wait any more longer. I'm gonna get right into it because I want to know the full story, or hear the full story of Mr. and Mrs. Hardy tonight. Again, please help me welcome Mr. and Mrs. Hardy right now. Hi, Miss
Hi.
and
Hi,
Mrs.
everybody.
Harvey. How
Good
are
night.
you doing tonight?
Good night.
How are
Thank
you
you
guys
so much
doing?
for having us.
Thanks.
You you are most welcome, and I must say thank you all for accepting my invitation. I know that, hey, uh, you know, many persons might be busy, preparing for work, but you take the time out to be a part of tonight broadcast to share what God has done for you, and I'm so happy that I'm able to interview you guys tonight, so persons can know what you guys faced, in your marriage. And so many persons, I know believe that there will be person that are married will be on tonight, and they are super excited to hear your story. I know for sure that there will be prospective couples that planning to get married in the future, and they're also excited to hear your story. But I'm gonna get right into it. I'm not gonna wait I'm not wait for nobody else. I'm gonna get right into
I
it
love
right
it.
now. I'm not gonna wait on nobody else. So I want you guys to tell me, Okay, so Mr. Harvey, I'm going to start off with you first. I want you to tell me, who is Mr. Hardy? Who is Mr. Hardy?
Well, my name is Patrick Hardy. I'm originally was born in New York and
Yes.
grew up in New Jersey. Um, and one thing about myself is I love sports, especially the
Yes.
Olympics time is coming up. So this, I love track and field and all of that, and basketball, and so. But
Interesting.
yeah,
You're always rooting for
uh-huh.
Jamaica against America. That's the big thing
So,
in track and field for him.
but it's always a
Okay,
friendly competition, so it's good. So, but yeah,
wonderful.
yeah. Mhm.
Camera.
Oh,
There you
can't
go.
see.
There you
Okay,
go.
that's better. Yeah.
Okay, so over to you, Mrs. Harvey. Tell us, who is Mrs. Harvey? Tell us about yourself tonight.
Well, I am your country woman.
Yeah,
I
of
was.
course, yes.
I know. So I was born in Jamaica, and then when I was 12 years old, my parents migrated to Aruba and lived there. I spent all my teenage years there, and then right after, I went to Massachusetts, Boston, Massachusetts, for college, and
Mm-hmm.
that's where I met my husband. I I love to so the thing about me is that I love to meditate. That's the one thing I like doing. I love
Yes.
to write, develop stories, to create and to bring stories to life. So I own a film production company, and
Wow.
we've done
Mhm.
two faith-based
Yeah.
films. They're Christian movies, and a comedy movie which my parents started called The Prodigal Parents. Very funny. And all those movies are currently on Amazon. So that's what we do on the side. And then
Mm-hmm.
for just like regular, I work within the pharmaceutical industry. And I'm just what you see is what you get, so to speak.
Oh yeah.
Very transparent. And I just live my life. I am grounded in faith because I grew up in church. And us
Uh-huh.
Caribbean folk, your mommy and your daddy taking you to church before you're born. So you sort of just live in the church.
That's right.
Yeah. So that's me.
That's right.
That's
Well, that is so nice. That is so nice. So, as I said, I'm not gonna wait no longer. Who want to come and miss out, that's their business, but we have to work with time. So, I want us to tell, my audience and tell myself, how did you guys meet? You mentioned earlier that, I don't remember the state that you mentioned earlier, but give us some more details, how it started, how you guys met each other. Yeah, go ahead.
you want to go how we met?
Well, I could do my side.
His version.
But we met at Atlantic Union College was the college that we actually Shawnee was attending. I wasn't actually attending. I decided to go there to visit a friend. So I was playing pool, and it's like a
Mm-hmm.
student lounge. And then, and all of a sudden, so I heard Shawnee, yeah,
Footsteps.
Shawnee coming down the steps, not seeing her, that all I was hearing was footsteps coming down. So to that day, I still remember what she was wearing, and even though that was like 17 and a half
Years.
years ago, but and she came and she talked to my friend and asked my friend, who is that girl? Who's that girl? And he said, "Oh, that's Shawnee. She's from Aruba, originally from Jamaica." I'm like, okay, I got to get to know her. So actually, what I did was I never used to go to the student lounge that much, but I started going around more and more, and then we started playing dominoes together. So we would give
Giving six loves.
we would give love to everybody who played against us. But but
Wow.
that's how it kind of started. So we started playing dominoes together, and I believe we started officially dating was around spring break. That's that's
Mm-hmm.
that's when we started dating,
And we got married
and
shortly.
then a lot of people were saying not don't talk to her, and I never listened to them one bit. You know, there's always negative people out there, you know, trying to
So
give
true.
you bad things, but I thank God for, you know, even trying to pursue, because there's nothing that I wouldn't change. So, and she's a strong Christian lady, I must say. But one thing that
That's
I
great.
could tell you is that there was one night. There's like a inspiration. It was what they were doing on the.
He doesn't know what that
Oh, so it's kind of like
when the students
a
get together
student get together like in the
Hmm.
afternoon,
and
and
worship.
they'll worship. So I didn't know anything about that. I didn't know that she was a worshiper. But she
Yes.
surprised me one night when they called her name. She went to the piano, and I was like, "What in the?" I was like, "Okay, she played music and sing. Oh, okay." So I was more and more falling in love with her, little by little. You know, it's little things, and there's nothing I would trade or change, no matter what, you know, that we went through.
Oh,
Yeah.
thank you, baby.
Okay. That is so
His version sounds
nice.
about right.
Yep.
That is
And
so
so,
nice.
go ahead. You good?
Go ahead. Sorry.
Go ahead. What
Okay,
was your
that
question?
is so nice, Mr. Hardy. That is so nice of you, you sharing how you guys met. So, Mrs.
Hmm.
Hardy, I wanted to tell us your part of, your side of story. Tell us, because
Listen.
women always, have more stuff to say than man. So you get
Yes.
into it and tell us some
Wow.
more.
Wow. I'm gonna
Yeah.
tell you something.
True.
So he was right. Yes, I went to the student lounge. I didn't really notice him because you know.
Right.
And anyway, he was right when he said that, he started coming back to the student lounge, and I started noticing him. And so one night, he had to walk. I asked him to walk me back to the dormitory.
Really?
Yes,
Just gonna
I
say
am
that.
going to tell him that. Sorry. I had to ask him to walk me back to the dormitory because it was night. Um, it was, after we finished playing dominoes, it was dark. And do you know that this man only walked me halfway to the dormitory and turned back? He
Wow.
And I
he,
was
he didn't
nervous.
even walk me to the door. He's so lucky I gave him another chance. So lucky because he was about to blow it then. I tell you.
Why you have to remember that though? But yeah,
Okay.
that's right.
Okay, that is so nice. That is so nice. I'm happy that you guys, was able to share how you guys met back in the past.
Hmm.
So, many of my viewers, seen the caption where you guys have been married for 16 years, but due to a specific situation, you guys, wasn't able to conceive a child. But glory be to God, a child is on the way, a baby's on the way, and
Hmm.
I'm so happy, I'm so excited that God showed up in this situation
Yes.
and God changed the story so you guys could be able to testify right now. Because listen to me, if I believe that if God did not change the situation, then you guys I wouldn't be here, testifying of the goodness
Hmm.
of God. So everything happened for a reason where
Hmm.
your testimony is going to be able to motivate others that are older that are basically in the same situation or maybe will be ending up in the same situation. So I want you to tell us, upon being committed to each other, did you guys ever spoke about, or when did you guys spoke about kids and whether not you guys wanted kids? Was it 2 years after getting married, or was it a year after getting married, or yeah, tell us.
No. So and I can speak to this. Patrick, you can add
Yeah.
in. So when we met and we started dating, Patrick always talked about that he wanted a family. He wanted to be a
Hmm.
father. And the reason, there are many reasons, but one of the main reason is that his biological father is not in his life. And so he
Okay.
has never been in his life. And so he wanted to change that. You know, he want to have a family that he can be a father to a child and change that cycle.
Hmm.
So we've talked about it, and so when we got married, I think it might have been a year or a year after that we got married. we were open to the idea of starting a family, whether we started right away or later on. So to speak, we weren't taking anything to prevent it from happening, right? We were
Mm-hmm.
very open in the beginning. And so, but we were still in college.
Yeah.
So after I graduated, because I graduated before Patrick and I got a better job, we started trying, you said trying for real, because it hadn't happened yet, but we started trying for real. And I think this might have been maybe 3 to 5 years in our marriage,
Yeah.
where he had now graduated and he had now gotten a better job. So we were okay. So we started really trying, and we trying to figure out, okay, so what's really going on, because we weren't really taking anything to prevent it from happening, but it has not happened. So to your question, like I said, we were always open to the idea from the beginning, and we hadn't taken anything to stop it or prevent it. But I want to say maybe 3 to 5 years into the marriage, we're really trying to figure out what's going on. Why haven't we gotten pregnant yet?
Okay, understand. Thank you so much for sharing that. So to all my viewers that have joined, just now, please welcome to AS Testimony Talk Show. Thank you for joining, and all please remember to like, comment, subscribe, so your other persons can be a part of this wonderful talk show. So, Mrs. Hardy, can a tender woman care sees towards the child she bears? How did you feel after finding out you were pregnant at that time, and but later losing that pregnancy?
So
How
just to clarify that question, so
Mhm.
we've gone through, so after really after that 5 year period trying to figure out really what was going on, and now we had
Yeah.
insurance, so we had better jobs. We went to the doctor and really trying to figure out, doctor, what's medically wrong. And so the doctor told me it was me, that my ovaries, both of them were blocked, right?
Wow.
And I couldn't have children naturally. So he mentioned the best option, or the only option that I had was to do IVF. And so IVF is in vitro fertilization. And for those who
Mm-hmm.
are watching that doesn't understand what in vitro fertilization is, it's really that the doctors or whomever caregiver give you a bunch of drugs like shots that you have to take, and essentially what it's doing, it is maturing the women's eggs on a faster basis than it would do normal, like your monthly cycle, right? So it's maturing those eggs, and then after those eggs are mature, what they do, they
Mm-hmm.
surgically remove it from the woman's ovary, and they would fertilize it with the men's depository, fertilize that the eggs, and those eggs turn into embryos. And so what they would do maybe 3 days after, they look at the eggs. Okay, it's the cells are divided. They would put the maybe 1 or 2 eggs. Those are strong graded eggs, not embryos. They're embryos now because they've been
Yeah.
fertilized. They would insert that back into the lining of the uterus. And so the idea around that is that the embryo is supposed to line itself, or dig itself, or I don't know, push itself into the uterus, and then
Yes.
start dividing and creating life, right? So that's the whole in vitro fertilization process. So it's done outside the body, and then after a certain amount of day, it's inserted back into the body, right? So what happened is that after those 3 days, and it got inserted, they place it back into my uterus. You have a certain amount of days that they will check to see, maybe
Mm-hmm.
I think maybe 10 days after, to see if you have a positive pregnancy.
Yes.
So that the process is that the embryo is supposed to keep dividing. You keep dividing until it becomes, the whole
Yeah.
cycle life, right? So the 10-day, when I went for the first cycle, when I did the first cycle, and I went, my one of my ovary, I think it's the right one, it got hyperstimulated. And that just meant that this ovary produced a lot more eggs. It matured a lot more eggs than what it was supposed to, right? And so what happened is that it twisted. And if you ever pour water into a balloon and you see how it droops and then the top of it twists, that's what was happening to my ovary. So I had to do immediate surgery. And so the doctor mentioned that, because I have to do the immediate surgery while the embryo was already inserted into the uterus, there's a possibility that I could lose those embryos, right? And so after I woke up, they said that they have to remove it, but there was no impact to the ovary. 10 days, maybe 9 days into the process, I started, I started bleeding, and I went online, because as a woman, you start freaking out. I went online to read upon stuff, and I've seen where people say sometimes that happened, but it doesn't mean that you've lost it. So on the 10th day, when I went to the doctor, because the end of the process, that you have to go and do a blood test. So when I went and I did the blood test for the first time, it was negative. So it did not happen. It did not, we did not produce a positive pregnancy. I did not feel, to be honest, because it was the first time that I was going through that process, and we had about 8 embryos that we had developed in that process, and they inserted 2 at the first time. I know I had 6 more to do, so I wasn't as devastated, so to speak. And I know there were other circumstances in between, so I was not devastated at the moment. What we talk about it and said, we're just gonna rest a little bit, and then we will go back and do another transfer. Okay, so I just want you guys to understand that doing the transfer, every time I go back, I have to take a lot of medication and a lot of injections and all of that, because you're preparing the body externally, so to speak. It's not natural. You're giving your body, hormones and a lot of progesterones and all of that. And so it's really lacking on the body, mentally, physically, and honestly, spiritually. And so we went and we gave ourselves a break that time. And then we went again and we did it. And maybe 6 months or 6 months, 8 months around that time, we went and we did another transfer. And so the same process, the 9th day, I started bleeding. And then my heart just sunk, because I'm thinking maybe it didn't happen. Talk with Patrick, maybe it did, because again, you just never know. I went on the 10th day to do the blood test, and the doctor said it's negative. Again, I was feeling bad, but I wasn't devastated. Like, oh my, I wasn't to that point yet. Right. Because again, I have more there that I can try, right? And so just to cut a long story short, I did all of those embryos. That time we were living in Massachusetts. And the last one that I did in Massachusetts, it just did not work. And I started really questioning God, like, really, what's going on here? Because we're trying so hard. And mind you, while we're in the process, we're still not taking anything to prevent pregnancy. We're still active, I'd say, because it's a Christian, so we keep it kosher. We're still active. I honestly, I did not believe at first what the doctors stated, and I always believed that it could happen naturally. But then when I noticed that, it hasn't happened yet, I think it might have been maybe 10 years now into the process, it hasn't happened naturally or through procedures. I started questioning, what's going on. My faith, it started dwindling a little bit, because I know that he's God and everything is possible through him. So what's going on? What separates me from someone who, you blow on them and they're pregnant, so to speak? You know, it just didn't make sense to me.
Yes,
So
that's
that's
right.
how the process was. And as you ask more question, I'll get down to the last one where I completely lost faith.
Okay. Okay, so after going through all about five, or was it five or four times? Four times you did
Eight,
it?
eight,
Eight times. Eight times, and all of them was what? Negative, right?
negative.
Negative.
Yes,
So how were you feeling at that time? How were you feeling? Because knowing that you are a Christian and knowing that, as
yes,
you stated earlier, that everything is possible in Christ
yes.
Jesus. So how were you feeling as a Christian? How were you
Uh,
feeling at that time?
it to be honest, the Christian walk is hard.
Absolutely, so true.
It is, and I don't want people to think that you become a Christian, everything's gonna be easy, and everything is gonna fall in place, because it is not that. It is a process, and
That's
I
right.
did not realize that God was preparing me for my testimony. So there were
Absolutely.
times that I became frustrated with God, and I'm be honest with you, I became frustrated with God. I became angry. I'm mad. My faith, I'm losing faith because it doesn't make sense. And then the hardest part about it is that we've been married so long, and then I had family
Exactly. So
members.
long.
We've been married so long. This hasn't happened to us. We've remained faithful, go to church every day, paying our tithes and offering. We sing on
Yes,
the worship team and
yes, yeah.
everything. And this hasn't happened. So I struggled with that, to be honest. I did. And then when you have family members who came into your home and then throw in negative negative connotation and negative words at you, saying that you're a mule, you're barren, you're this, you're that,
Mm,
you have a better
wow.
chance with your dog, and all of that stuff. It
Wow.
those things were like the devil set those things up to break you.
Absolutely, so true.
And as a Christian, if you don't know who God is, it will break you.
So true. So
And
true.
even when you know who God is, it will still break you, because words are powerful. A lot of people don't
So true.
realize that. And when you're in that vulnerable state, right? And things aren't going right for you. Things aren't going the way that you want it to go, and you're trusting God and it's not happening. Then what happens sometimes, you start holding on, or you start plucking those words and start holding on to them and say, maybe they're right.
Right.
Maybe
Mm-hmm.
they're right about this. Maybe I
Yeah.
am barren, I'm a mule, or maybe all of that. You know what I mean? So you have to be so careful of the words that you pluck and speak over yourself, because
Absolutely, so
it
true.
is so powerful. And you don't want that to drive. I found myself after a while sort of going into depression, and we'll probably touch on that a little bit later. But
Yes.
to answer your question, it is Christianity is not an easy road when you've been expecting so long and it hasn't happened. If that makes sense.
Oh my God. That's right. Mm-mm-mm.
and
Wow.
and the big thing is that we didn't understand that God was preparing us for our testimony. That's the big thing.
Ah,
We didn't understand the process, but we had to go
yes.
through the process. We had to trust the process and go through the process. The hardest point is the waiting. And
Ah,
the
yes.
Bible
There you
says,
go.
right, those that wait upon the Lord shall what? The
Renew their
hardest
strength.
part is the waiting, because you can lose
Yes.
hope. You can give up the waiting
Mhm.
when you see nothing is happening. And that was the point
Mm,
that I got into.
wow. Wow.
Yeah.
Wow. That is so wow. So, Mr. Hardy, I want you to tell us, your wife just shared, how she was feeling, but I want you to tell us, how were you feeling at that time, knowing that wanting to have a child, and she have been through so many, uh, you know, process of getting a child or getting pregnant, but
Hmm.
knowing that all of the results were negative, how were you feeling at the time? Tell us your part.
So, I felt like my feelings um, more weren't towards my wife. It was more towards God. More like,
Hmm.
it's almost like angry towards God. I know it sounds bad, but it's almost like it's like you're angry at him. Like, why would you allow this to happen if so you're all powerful, and it's like you see so many people have miracles in their life. It was like you question your faith. Um, like, why not us? You know what I'm saying? Like, you know, so I was at that point where it was devastation. And the because I remember all of I mean, every single thing that we went through, from injections to doing the surgery. I think that
The
was
surgeries, yeah.
yeah, that was the hardest thing for me ever. All the injection shots were bad, but the surgery was unexpected. Also, we found out like the last, I think, what was it? I mean, I remember it was a night we went to the hospital, but we had that same day we went to the doctor and saying that really, she's really not feeling well. Like, what can you do? And they actually send us home. And I don't think we went home. I think we were still at the hospital.
Mhm.
I think we were still at the hospital because the doctor's office was at the hospital. We ended up
Hmm.
going to the emergency room, and so they did further evaluations and realized that, oh, we need to do emergency surgery. So we didn't have any. I didn't have any time to prepare. I could only pray, and just because I don't even know how long the surgery was. I feel like it was forever. But it was something where you can't, as a husband, you can't protect your wife, while she's in surgery. It's like you can only pray. You can nothing you can do. Um, but yeah, but as a man, I felt helpless. That was the biggest, you know, helpless. Anything, there's nothing I can do to help my wife for what she's going through. Because I can remember her crying, and just it's just a lot. It was a lot of stress for sure.
Yes, yes.
I
Wow.
think,
So,
Akeem, just to add, I'm sorry to cut you off, just to add to what Patrick is saying. For me, honestly, as a woman and as a wife,
hmm
I felt worthless because I felt that, women have this special thing about them, this uniqueness about them where you can bring
that's
life
right.
into this world. And that's just magnificent. It's just wonderful. And I'm not saying, ladies, if you're listening, I'm not saying that that's the only thing that women do, because it's not. I'm just saying we have this uniqueness about us that we can bring life. We have a womb, right? We can bring life into this
But men cannot
world.
do.
Okay. And that's the fact that, when we spoke about it in the beginning, and I look at him and I know he would make a great father, and I'm trying so hard to do it and it won't happen. It's devastating. It broke me, and I started feeling as if I was less than, if that makes sense. And that's a
Wow,
hard
wow.
space to be in when you feel worthless. That's it.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Mhm.
So you shared with us earlier that, because of the situation, persons normally, came over to your house, and knowing that you guys married for over 16 years and there's no evidence to prove that, hey, you guys have been married, because normally, as as two individual got married, it's like persons are expecting,
Yeah.
to hear
Mhm.
that a baby's on the way. And
Yeah.
you said earlier that persons call you barren and call you mule because of the situation, and you also said that it caused depression. So tell us about that. Persons calling you names, calling you barren, calling you mule. Tell us about that.
So what happened, is that we moved from Massachusetts and we went to North Carolina to
Mm-hmm.
sort of just start over. It's a new environment, new people, just to start over. We got a job.
Yeah.
God helped us to purchase a home, and we wanted to start the process again. So that might have been maybe 12, 13 years into our marriage, or somewhere there, 13, 14 years. And so we started the process again. And this time I had one ovary. But God only need one ovary. So I had one ovary. And so we did the IVF process again with the shots and everything. And this time only produced 3 embryos, right?
Mm-hmm.
And when we did that, they transferred 2 of those embryos back in. And again, it just, the whole thing, as I stated in the beginning, 9 days, it started bleeding. On the 10th day, it didn't work. And that's when I started, okay, we're in a new environment, new doctors, new everything.
New state.
New state. And everything that I'm doing, it's not working. We decided that we were going to just stop for a while and take a break. And during that time, we, as you know, we love to help people. We, family members came to our home. We try to help as much as we can. And, they look at our situation, and, well, they make assumptions, I'd say,
Wow.
after they left the home, because we had certain standards in our home that we expect. If you're in our home, that's our standard, right? And because of that, and persons did not like those, the feedback from that, how family members are.
Yeah.
They started cursing you out, and they call you this, that, and all sort of things, right? And then what I did, and you got to pay attention here. What I did, because I've been through the process so long and it hasn't worked, I took what that person said, and before I didn't erase it. What I did, I internalized it.
Yeah.
And
Right.
that's a big no. You don't do that. And then
Yes.
I'm trying. I found myself in a state that I'm trying to prove. I want to prove them wrong. I want to prove myself wrong, because I know I can do this. I can do this for my husband.
Yes.
I can do
That's
this.
right.
Nobody at my church knew what was going on. I pray in silence. Our backyard has a fence. I go down to the fence and I pray. There are times in the night, Patrick and I will speak, and I'm laying on my pillow and I'm praying. I'm always praying to God, even though my faith is wavering. It's wavering. I'm still there. I grew up in church, and I grew up believing in God and believing and trusting. And so even though my faith is wavering, there is still
Yes.
something, I'm
That's
still
right.
going to go to him regardless. There's still something. And then I remember I went to church one day, and the pastor was speaking about Simon, when he saw Simon on Jesus. When Jesus saw Simon, I think it was a river or the ocean or sea, please forgive me. And Jesus said to Simon to cast your net again out in the deep. I'm paraphrasing, yeah. And Simon said, they've been toiling all night, you haven't caught anything, but what you say, I'm gonna do it. And so
yeah.
we had that last ovary left, the very last one. And that was maybe I remember maybe a year or two ago. And so I put everything. I only had a little bit of faith left, but that was enough. I put everything in my hope, every little thing that I have, every bead in that last one. Patrick, everything, that last one. My immediate family, which is my mom and my dad, because they knew what was going on. Everything into that last one. I could sometimes pass by my mom's door and hear her praying for us. Everything we put in that last one. And then Again, on the ninth day, I started seeing blood, and everything inside of me died when I saw that. It came to a standstill. And what I did, remember I told you I internalized what these
Mm-hmm.
persons had said to me. I took everything started coming back because I didn't release it. I held on to it because, I needed some type of a justification, if so to speak. And so
Yes.
I came to terms and I started saying, yes, that person is right. I am this. I am that. My mom
Wow. Wow.
heard me saying that. And, she's them old Jamaican Christian lady. She started rebuking. Like, no, 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 no. She started
Don't you
rebuking
say
that
that,
because
girl?
yes, she realized I was going into a dark state of depression.
Yes.
I had given up. I let go. I went down back to the fence where I always go and talk to God and I said, God, I gave up. There is
Mm.
nothing more that I can do. I gave up. I've prayed. I've done this. I've done that. I give up. What I did, I said to him, God, I understand now that is not your will. It's not your will for me to get pregnant, for us to have a child. I understand that. And I accept it. This is me telling God what his will is, right?
Mm-hmm.
I accept that. But what I want you to do is for me to go on. I want you to remove that feeling of worthlessness, feeling less than a wife. My husband came to me and we talk about it, and he's saying that maybe he doesn't want to be a father. He doesn't because he doesn't want me to go through all of this stuff. And I think it was just his way of, because he has seen what I was going through to make this happen, his way of bringing some type of for us to sort of close the door to this because it's not happening. Just let us let
Yeah.
it go. Let us close the door. Let us maybe talk about adoption or something else. Let's not go down this road again. He said he's good. He just wanted me to be okay with it. I talked to God about it to just let that feeling go. And what I realized that I started hardening my heart against having a family. So if somebody come up to me last year or the year before and said, hey, you're gonna have a baby, I would have rebuked them because that's so hard my
Yeah.
heart has gotten to that point. I didn't want to
Wow.
hear it. I understand. I believe the lie that I was telling myself.
Mm-hmm.
I understand that it is not God's will, and I'm okay with this. I don't
Yeah.
know what God's will is, and that's not what God had told me. But in my mind, I'm stating, God, I know this is not your will because it hasn't happened. It's not going to happen. This and that. I get it.
Mm.
It's not your will. I'm good. So that's the lie I started living in.
Wow. Wow. Mr. Hardy, you mentioned earlier that you love your wife so much and you basically didn't like to see her going through to that through that experience, and your heart was like a bit melting for her. But I want you to be honest, because we are in the flesh, and sometimes you know, being married for 16 years and you want to be a father, you want to have the feeling of raising a child, of raising a boy or a girl child. Have you ever felt like giving up this marriage, Mr. Hardy? Have you felt like just, hey, I'm going to just end this marriage and just move on to somebody else? Because we are human beings and sometimes those thoughts, come to
Mhm.
our head.
Yeah, so that never crossed my mind one bit. Only thing that crossed my mind was closing that fatherhood chapter. Pretty much just closing, doing that whole process along was just stressful. Um, just going back to doctor, it was like injection. Then it's like
Hmm.
disappointment, injection, disappointment, back and forth, with the process. So I closed that chapter. Well, at least I thought I closed the chapter of having a child, but just closing that way of having a child, I guess. medication way. Um, and we, like I said, I was very tired of the injections. I mean, I don't know if you, I don't think, well, the process is so much different injections. And then I think the
Mhm.
last night you get that booster shot that's worse than the normal injections. And it's just, it feels like it drains your whole entire energy. Um, just, going back to doctors and hearing bad news. And so for me, I just closed the chapter of being a dad. So, and what we did, well, by closing the chapter, just, accept the fact that, okay, I won't be a dad, and I was okay with that. So,
But you're
Okay.
right, Akeem. The situations like this
mhm,
can break a
it definitely
marriage,
can.
and situations like
Absolutely.
this have broken a marriage.
So true.
Hmm.
The stress, and I have family member that it has happened to. The stress, and I may have to go in the church a little bit, but sometimes as a young, and this has happened, I've seen it happen. As a young couple, you get married, and the expectation is that, that's as you mentioned, to have a child right then and
Hmm.
there.
Yeah.
And if it hasn't
Hmm.
happened, sometimes the church members, they're the one um, kind of striking the irons, so to speak, stating,
Hmm.
"Oh, you haven't had the baby yet. What going on? Oh, like your thing ain't working or whatever." And they start bringing that stress. They bring it on the husband and they bring it on the wife, and they don't
That's true.
understand. They don't understand what this couple is going through. They don't understand what the woman
True. Yes.
Hmm.
and I can only speak for the woman. They don't
Yeah.
understand the space that you live in, wanting to do this, wanted to make it a reality, wanted to bring life into the world, wanted to give your husband a child, and not being able to. You don't understand how the burden, the level of devastation that it put on the wife. And just to bring it back to the Bible a little bit, I believe that's what was it Sarah was feeling when she
Ah,
said
yes.
to
Hmm.
Abraham, and said to Abraham, you know, maybe God meant this. So it's like an alternative she was looking for, right?
Yeah.
Maybe it wasn't supposed to be me to bring the
Hmm.
promise, right? So here's my servant lady. Maybe the promise come through that seed. And that's not what
Mm.
God wanted. Abraham was
Not
very
at all.
faithful. And as you asked Patrick that question, it never crosses his mind, at least he never told me. It never crosses his mind to to step out of the marriage, or or even question, because there were times that I went to him and I said, Patrick, if you had married someone else, you would have your family. You would have, I guess, that Sarah spirit, you would have your family, you would have this already, you have that. And he is the one that always come back to me, that's not what I want. That's not what I want at all. So people, when you get married, young folk, people in the church, instead of criticizing, people criticizing these young folks, how about if we just pray for them? You don't know
Absolutely.
what they're
Come on.
going through, but just let's pray for them.
You can say that one more time again. Say it one more time. Everybody hears
Yes,
loud and clear.
yeah, just pray for them. That's all right. You don't need to pressure the husband, so the husband go and put pressure on the wife because he don't have a
Right.
child yet. You don't need to do all of that. Just pray for them. That's all they need. Just your
Absolutely.
prayers, you know. So and that's the thing I have an issue with some folks in the church with that, to be honest. And we
That's
spoken
right.
out about that.
Okay, so you mentioned earlier that it caused depression. You were in depression, but did it also cause you to be like to have low self-esteem?
Oh God,
You
yes.
know.
Oh God,
Mm-mm.
yes.
Tell us
Yes,
about
because
that.
when you start feeling worthless and you're feeling less than, that's low self-esteem. It's you don't, when you're not feeling like a woman. Oh God. Oh
Mm-hmm.
yeah. Oh definitely. And then when persons come to you and say, "Oh, but you don't have any baby yet," you just want to punch them in the face. To be honest,
Come on, no.
I'm not condoning violence of that, but I'm just saying. I'm just saying. And then the stress, and then the stress on top of it, where
Yes.
people come to say to my mother and said, "Oh, your daughter can't have a baby because she removed her womb." Like, how do you know that? Like, why do we talk about people so much? Why can't we just
Because
pray for them?
come on. Yes.
Why?
That's the same question I'm asking myself. That's the same question I'm asking myself. Why?
Why?
Mhm.
Why? Because instead of talking about the situation, or going to Tom or going to Harry and say, Harry, some here's Mrs. Harvey, them, they got married for 16 years and up till now them can't give birth or conceive a
Yeah,
child. But instead of you doing that, why can't you go to the person and say, hey, maybe talk with you guys, or talk to the individual and say, maybe it's a reason why, or maybe it's a situation why you guys cannot, or maybe you guys are not even ready to get a child.
yeah,
It's because there are many reasons why somebody don't want to get a child yet. You understand?
yes,
So
Mhm.
Christians, I believe that Christian needs to stop it, and we just have to pray, because the Bible says we must be our brother's keeper. And
amen.
in today's society, we are not doing that. We are not being our brother's keeper at all. So we need to stop that, and we need to pray
Mhm.
for each other. But as you were saying, continue.
And I felt, to be honest, I felt like I had more support from people who weren't quote unquote Christians,
Wow.
because they understood. And that's sad.
Hmm.
That's very sad.
Good.
It's
Good.
very sad because it shouldn't be that way.
Not
So
at all.
as I was saying, we need to, and my testimony, when I share it with the family members who didn't know, and share it with friends and they didn't know, it started opening their eyes. We need to, if you see someone who haven't been married a long time ago, and not even marriage, not even on the fact that they don't have any baby, but just about anything. Maybe this person is gaining weight or whatever the situation is. Instead of
Yes.
criticizing that person, and we need to stop doing that. Pray for them. Um, be our brother's keeper. You can go and have a conversation. That person confide in you, and
Absolutely.
you pray with that person. You don't have to criticize. You don't have to be talking, just as you say, talking, yeah, 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 and all of that, and breaking that person. And a lot of time, because of that stress that they put on the husband, and then the husband put the stress onto the wife, and sometimes the
Hmm.
husband stepped out of the marriage and broke the covenant. That's what
Yes.
happened. That's what happened.
So true.
That's what happened. So I thank God for the man that He gave me, because he stood beside me. And there were times that the Sarah spirit came upon me when I said, maybe you should have just go and do this, or maybe you should go and do that. And he's gonna break that. No, 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 no. He did not. That's not what he signed up for. It's both of us through life and death. Um, you know how the vows go. It's us.
Yes.
And if we don't have any children, we don't have any children. But what this allow us to become stronger? It allow us to get closer. Like it's the
Absolutely.
two of us
Yes.
against everybody else, so to speak.
Yes.
So when I told him, so what happened this year, after all of that chaos happened, and my mom helped me, because my mom she's a praying woman. I tell you, and my dad is a praying man. He didn't understand the whole concept of everything that's going on. He's old Jamaican. He don't understand all of that stuff, but he was always praying. So
Mhm.
this year, after we had closed the chapter to having children, we had talked about adoption. We had done foster care, and
Mhm.
excuse me, that did not work out that well. And it's not our fault or his, it's just with the state. It didn't work out.
Yes. Yes. Mhm.
Um, we said, it's another confirmation that we shouldn't have kids. So every little thing we draw up on, I said, see, told you it wasn't the will of God, right? See?
That's right.
Um, because we started living in that lie, that space.
That's right.
And so,
Yes.
we closed the chapter. I said, God, I gave up. Patrick, we gave up. We let it go. And I
Mm,
told you,
mm,
I did
mm,
not know that
mm.
God was preparing me for this testimony. I said, God, everything is in your hands. I know it's not
Yes.
your will, but we're like, whatever. We're done. Tell you, done with it. We let go. We done.
Mm.
And then to our surprise, this year, March,
Mm-hmm.
I wasn't feeling good. And I'm gonna be honest with you,
I
Akim, I
know.
thought I was dying.
Dying.
There was something seriously wrong with me because I never felt like that before. And Patrick said, we need to go to the hospital. We need to go to the doctor. And I said, okay, I'm gonna go. I'm gonna call the doctor, set up on a time to go there. And so he mentioned to me, maybe you're pregnant. And I was like, remember I told you if anybody said to me and I'm pregnant, I'm gonna rebuke them. I gave
Yes.
him the stink eye. Don't even come in here with that. Okay. So, but he was joking about it because he didn't really believe that either, right? And
Mm.
we closed that door a long time ago. And so the morning before I was gonna go to the doctor, I went to the pharmacy because I needed something to help me relieve myself. My stomach is hard and it's just, I'm constipated, I'm bloated and just everything. And I feel like I was dying. And so I went to the pharmacy to get something, some type of relief. And one mind said to me, oh, let me back up a minute. Before I went to the pharmacy, I was going through the door. And I remember
Mm-hmm.
the word that Patrick had said the night before. He said, maybe you're pregnant. And I started laughing. And then I kid you not, just like how we're talking right now, the spirit, and I believe the spirit of the Lord spoke into my ear and said, Sarah laughed too. And I stopped laughing one bit.
That's right. That's
I
right.
said, no. It's like, and I'm looking around like somebody's playing with me. Okay, we're not going down this road again. Don't do that.
Not at all. But question. So because I want to know, and I know that my viewers want to know as well. Was it naturally it just naturally happened, right?
Right.
Tell us. Go ahead and tell us. Tell us
So
everything. Give us
I
all the
went to the
details.
pharmacy because remember, we closed the door to all of that. We ain't doing
Mm-hmm.
no more procedure. We ain't doing nothing. The only thing is that we're living and we're active still for the
Yes.
viewers to be kosher. But we know that, that's not going to happen because it hasn't happened naturally. So we know. So we're fine. Um, so I went to the pharmacy. Patrick is at work, and I went to the pharmacy. And while I was in the car, as I was about to come out of the car, again, the voice came back to me. My pregnancy test. And I started struggling with that. Like, oh, I start struggling, like what is going on? Like somebody's playing some kind of joke on me. I went and I said, fine, then I get the pregnancy test. The reason why I did it too was because if you go to the doctor, the first thing they're gonna ask is a female, are you
If
pregnant?
you did it,
And then
yes.
you could just tell
Mm-hmm.
them, no, I'm not. Because I already know I'm not, right?
You're not.
And so I came back, I bought it. And I bought
Miss
I
Hardy,
used
Miss Hardy,
forgot to buy the relief. Yeah,
Miss Hardy. I think your microphone it needs to be fixed. I think something went wrong just now. I can hear it, but it's a bit like squeaky a little bit.
how about now?
Still the same.
How about now?
Just still the same. Still the same.
That one down. Is it still?
Yes, it is still.
Just because I'm close to the other computer.
All right. What I want you guys to do, I want you guys to log off and log back on. Right? Do that quick and fast. All right. Great. So guys, oh my God, tonight it is so powerful. I'm so I just want to hear the full story of this because this testimony it is so powerful. Can you believe you have been married for over 16 years and throughout that 16 years you were unable to conceive a child? Can you imagine that? Can you imagine that? But they're back with me for one moment here.
Can you hear us now?
Wonderful. Great.
Perfect.
Great.
So I
Great.
was saying, I went to the pharmacy, and it's just nagging me to get the pregnancy test. So I got it. Came back home. I leave it on the table, and I'm making the appointment with the doctor and everything. Totally forgot about it. And then again, that voice, go take the pregnancy test. And I'm like, oh, fine. I go back up. I go up in the bathroom, and I took the pregnancy test. I left it up there because I just didn't want to bother. And it's really not like, you know.
We took so many times.
Hold on, this is the first one, Patsy. You can't jump yet. Hold on. Yeah, exactly.
No,
Because
before,
we've taken a lot of pregnancy tests before, and they were all negative. So it's like, I mean, with this one, it's going to be negative.
Negative,
I mean,
yes.
I know that. So what, I didn't even want to bother go look at it because I know it's going to be negative. And so, I remember I forgot that I took it, and then I remembered I took it. Like, let me just go check it and throw it out. And I didn't want Patrick to know that I caved, and I took it as well. So I was planning to hide everything, throw it in the trash, and don't even let him know I bought it and I took it. And when I look at it, it says pregnant. And I think I had like an outer body experience, because I'm like, something is wrong. So I'm waiting for it to change, but it won't change. I'm like, it says pregnant. So I'm still looking, where is the not pregnant on it? Because I'm used to not pregnant. So where's the pregnant? Yes. It just doesn't make sense. And I'm thinking that maybe it's not working properly. And I was like, it's still saying pregnant. And I'm like, God, what is going on here? Yes. It just doesn't make sense. Like, what are you doing? What's going on? And I started, like, literally, God in front of me started shouting, like, God, what is going on? It says I'm pregnant. Is this for real? This does not make sense. It's not making sense to me. And I started walking up and down like a mad person, talking to God. And my dog looked at me like I'm going crazy.
I like that look just now. I like that look just.
It's like, what's wrong with you? And so I'm so perplexed. And I called Patrick. I said, Patrick, because I didn't want to tell him over the phone. I wanted him to come home, because this is something that you don't share over the phone. Right? That's right. I called him and I said, Patrick, I have the doctor's appointment. I need you to come to him. He's a doctor. And he came home, and I showed him the pregnancy test. I was like, look, it says I'm pregnant. And I think I have a video of that I shared with the testimony. He was so confused. It was like, it doesn't make sense. It just did not make sense to us. So he said, go take another pregnancy test. So I went and I took another pregnancy test. I said, Patrick, it says I'm pregnant again. And he was like, no, we need to go right now to the pharmacy and to buy every type of pregnancy test to check, because it's not making sense.
Because it looks as if Patrick wants to ensure that this is real. This is for real. This is for real.
Because I come from the pharmaceutical industry, so I was thinking maybe it's a different wrong batch or something. Right.
A defective one. A defective one. Yeah. It's defect. Wow. It's a defect. So we went to the pharmacy, and he picked up, was it 5 years? 5?
I think I did 5 different ones.
It's different versions. Different versions. So he was like, go take them. And so I took them, girl. I was like, Patrick, all of these different versions say the same thing. We're pregnant. And it was like, all of them said you're going to be daddy, 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 daddy. You're going to be a father.
Yeah, pretty much.
I broke down. I cried. So we're still not 100% convinced. We need to do the blood test to go to the doctor.
Pretty much, yeah. That's what we did.
So we did the blood test. The doctor said, well, you're going to be a mommy.
Maybe a mommy. Come on.
It did not make sense. And it's only now we are kind of we're in that space and saying, yes, it's happening because, my belly's showing. We've seen the baby and it's a
Mhm.
girl and
Yeah.
she's looking very nicely.
It's a
Mhm.
girl. It's a girl, right? It's a girl. It's a My viewers, it is a girl, Mr.
Yep, it's a
Mr.
girl.
Hardy. You're gonna be a papa. You're gonna be a papa. You will be getting a girl child. Congratulations. Go
Mhm.
ahead, continue.
It's a girl. And so I had to go back to God and ask forgiveness and repent. Because what I did, and I said, I
Yes,
understand it wasn't his will. That wasn't my place to do that. I needed to just trust God and trust the process and trust that his will be done and trust that it's going to be on his time, not my time,
that's
not
right.
Patrick's time. It's going to be on his time. And what he was doing is preparing us, our testimony, so that we can share it to the world
Ah,
and we can share and people can know that God still works miracle. All you have to
that's
do
right.
is just put it in his hands. He got you. He does not forget his children. And even when I was going through that process, I forgot that. And so I had to be reminded of that he sees everything I was going through. He understood
Absolutely.
everything I was going through. But he wanted to show me that he was in control of the situation. And what he's
Yeah,
going to do
so
is
true.
going to make your enemies your footstool. So everybody that was laughing at you and talking about you and doing all of this thing about you, you know what they're going to do right now? They're going to be like this.
Yeah. Yes,
Exactly.
that's right.
Exactly. Exactly.
That's right. That's, that's right. I must say this to you. I must say this because today at church I preached about Job, when God permitted the devil to test Job to see if Job is going to curse God or curse him. And you know, in my sermon, I said sometime God tests to see if our love for him is going to be permanent or temporary, right?
True.
True.
Because sometimes the situation that we are currently facing, it's sometimes, it's like the devil want to drift us away from God, want us to separate from God.
Mhm.
And so it's like, as I said, sometimes God put us into certain situation to see if we are going to draw away from him or if our love is going to be decreased,
Right,
right?
right.
It's going to be decreased. And obviously, it looks as if your love was basically decreasing. To be honest, it was. It was. But but at the end of the day, you still have you still have faith as a small mustard seed, as I said earlier. So I believe the small faith that you has or that you have rather, it costs your that to
Was
happen to
enough.
you.
It was enough.
Mhm.
Come on now.
Yep.
Woo.
Mhm.
It was enough. It was
My,
enough.
my, my, my. This is such a powerful testimony. This is powerful, powerful. And the part that I like is when you said Mr. Hardy basically say, "Hey, I want you to do this, do the test over and over and over again to see if this is
Mhm.
really true." But come on,
Yeah.
to God be the glory, and I must
Yeah.
say congratulations to you
Mhm.
guys. Go ahead,
Thank you.
go
Thank
ahead,
you.
Mr. Hardy. You're saying something.
Oh. No, I was going to say for me, like, it was very unrealistic because, just coming home that day, like you said, um, it's like everything, every emotion went to, I was thinking about, like, wow, like God chose us. You know what I'm saying? Like,
Hmm.
You remember this.
so, because I can remember all the times we give, I mean, we give a lot.
Yeah.
I'm gonna tell you, we're very faithful, and we're just thinking, when is our time, God? You know what I'm saying? And God
Yes.
just showed up. And the biggest thing to me was that the doctors said that we will never, you know,
Be
well,
able to do
conceive
it
not naturally.
naturally.
And so all
Mm.
of that kind of stuck in my head a lot, even though,
Yes.
you
Yes.
believe God, but that's still powerful within my head. And to see that we, we're conceiving naturally, it was, that's the part that got me shocked. Like,
That is the
even
power
though
of God.
I know that's the God, that's God, that's the way He does. And I didn't realize it was
Mhm.
that moment I realized that God was actually preparing us because, God was pretty much said that, we didn't need that ovary. We didn't need,
Just one.
those fibroids that we had to do, So God was preparing the womb pretty much for our testimony without us even knowing.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
That I
Mhm.
mean, trust me, tonight is so powerful, and I'm so happy for you guys. And no, you guys are reaping. No, you guys, are
Yes.
reaping. You
Mhm.
guys are reaping the blessing that God has in store for you guys for 16 years back.
Yep.
The 16 years you guys have been crying, you guys have been, been in so
Mhm.
many surgeries, doing so many things just to get a child,
Mhm.
but now you are pregnant naturally. That is the
Naturally.
power
Yes.
of God.
That's the
And
power.
that is
And
to show us that, hey, go ahead.
the icing on the cake, because I believe that God have a sense of humor.
I was gonna say the
He's,
same
Uh-huh.
thing.
he laughs. He laughs when we laugh. I believe he has a sense of humor. That I've always said to God, I don't want to have a child when I turn 40. So forget that. If that's what you haven't, just forget that. Because I'm not going to
Yes.
be running around a baby or changing diapers at 40 years old. Just forget that. And then this year I turned 40.
Yeah.
So you tell me
Wow.
that God don't have a sense of humor.
Yeah.
Yes, yes, he does. Yes, he does. Wow. Yes, he does.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He does. He does. Mr. and Mrs. Hardy, I can see that you guys are super excited about this wonderful miracle that has
Mhm.
in that was that transpired in your life. I can see that you guys are excited. Your faith was increased. So at once your
Mhm.
faith was decreased, but now it is up there. It is up
It's it, it's
like
like
11. It is up.
restored. It's like restored.
Yeah, yeah,
It's
yeah.
like restored
Yes,
faith.
it has been restored.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's true. That is true.
And we have to give God thanks, and we have to give God thanks for the blessings that He has granted
Mhm.
unto you right now. But in closing, Miss Hardy, I want you to tell us what advice can you give to persons that are in the previous situation that you were in? What advice can you give to these women that are basically in the current situation that you were in the past? What can you say to them tonight?
Absolutely. And I alluded to this earlier. When you get married and you're expected to have children, and that may not be the case because sometimes you may not want to have a
Mhm.
child so early in your marriage. You may want to just enjoy marriage, and then maybe later on, you want to start a family. So I mean, I understand a lot of that, and sometimes the church put pressure, people around your community, your family put pressure on you.
Mhm.
But what I want people to do, I didn't have anyone to speak with.
Mm-hmm.
No one understood my situation because, like my
Yes.
mother and people around me, they have children naturally. So obviously, you're not going to understand the journey that I'm going through. But for people who are going through situations like this, I mean, I am an open book. If you can find resources, somebody that you can confide in, that may understand or may not understand, but somebody that you trust that will pray with you, because prayer is
Yeah.
huge. Prayer prayer changes things. Prayer
That's
is
right.
big. It changes things. And sometimes they may not understand your situation, but maybe just to encourage you, maybe take you back to the book and talk about, take you back to the Bible and talk about Hannah's story.
Yes, so
What
true.
Hannah was going through, what Sarah went through, and just to have that support that it's okay. Give it to God. There is a person right now who's going through the same situation, and she reached out to me. She told me that my story restored their faith. It's actually the husband and wife. So our story restored their faith. They've been trying for what, 13 years now. And our story restored their faith. There are a lot of
Mhm.
stories out there like ours. We did not know. We've seen stories like this before, but we never know that was going to happen to us. And this is just the magnificent power of God. But what I want to tell you guys, don't give up on faith. Like I said, even if it's just like a little mustard seed, that's all God needs. That's all he needs. That's all he needs,
Yeah.
honey. I said, pray about it and leave it in the hands of God. Go on, live your life, honey. Pray about it and leave it in the hands of God and just go on living your life.
I know.
Because I tell you, one day he's going to change it for you. And you're going to wake up one day like me and you're going to be shocked to your core because he changed it.
Yeah,
He changed it.
that's right.
So don't sink into depression and start saying, why me? Why this don't happen? Everybody's moving on with their life and start bringing that negativity into your life. Do not open the door to negativity. Be positive, pray, put it in the hands of God. That's the best thing you can do. Just give it to him and go on living your life. Because he hear you and he got you. And one day that promise will be fulfilled.
Come on now. Come on now. And the word of God says that though he slay me, yet will I trust him.
Yes,
Right?
yes.
I must say, because today my topic in church was I choose faith because nothing will break me. And then now here it just like there's a connection. There is a connection with tonight broadcast and today sermon at church. I choose faith. You choose faith despite of what you were going through. You choose faith, even though it was small as a mustard seed. You choose faith at the moment,
Yes.
right? And so I'm gonna say this to my viewers. Listen to me. It doesn't matter what you're going through. Once you choose faith, at the end of the day, you will be victorious. You will be rejoicing just like how Mr. and Mrs. Hardy they are rejoicing now. You will be rejoicing. So I'm gonna say this to you all. Once you choose faith, once you apply faith to your life, then listen to me, you will not regret doing that. Mr. Hardy, I want you to tell us what advice can you also give to the men that are out there that are experiencing the similar situation.
Well, for the men, the biggest thing is support, um, being
Yes.
with your wife no matter what. Whatever she's going through, be there with her every step of the way. Comfort. Um, just keep that faith and just trust God. That's the biggest thing. Trust in Him. Because it's like because with the whole process, it was new to us. We didn't know what to expect. It's like we were just going out on a leap of faith, not knowing what to expect. But through everything, it doesn't have to be this, but just anything in a marriage. Communication, just talk about it. I know one thing that we talked about is that if we ever had any disappointment, going to bed, we'll talk about it, So we always go to bed with a clear mind. So that's one thing I would just encourage any husband just to be very supportive with your wife and have God with them no matter what, every step of the way.
And just one thing to add on to that. The wives want to know that the husband is there. And the husband knows that she's not going through it by herself. It's
Yes.
both of us going through it. The situation is both of us in it. So that's very important to the wife because she don't want to feel like she's by herself.
That's right. That's right.
Yeah.
That's right. Absolutely. Absolutely. I must say thank you so much, Mr. and Mrs. Hardy, for taking the time out of your busy schedule to be a part of AS Testimony Talk Show. I know for sure that you don't regret being a part of tonight or regret
That
sharing
No,
was
your
no, no.
fun.
testimony. And no,
Thank
at
you.
all. I'm just so happy, and I'm just so um it's just so amazing that because my topic at church was I choose faith because nothing will break me, and then now we're here talking about faith and about trust. God is it is so powerful. And
Hmm.
again, to all my viewers, just apply faith to your life. Apply faith to your life, and once you do that, then you will be victorious. Mr. and Mrs. Hardy, they're now rejoicing because they are expecting a baby girl. Mr.
Girl.
Hardy will
Hmm.
be, yes, come on, a beautiful girl. Mr. Hardy
Yes.
is going to be a papa. He will now be a papa for so many years. He have been waiting, but
Tell ya.
now God, God timing is the best timing. God
Yes.
again, God timing is the best timing, and I'm so happy for you guys. I'm so happy that you are just rejoicing now, and I'm happy that you are not afraid to share what
Yeah.
you face in the past. And
Hmm.
I'm just happy, and I wish you guys all the best. And I must say thank you so much again for being a part of AS Testimony Talk Show. It is a pleasure having you on tonight to share what God has done for you. But before I let you go, what is your final feedback? What do you want to say to the audience before you go?
Hey guys, thank you for listening to us. Thank you for
Hmm.
taking the time
Yes,
out of your busy schedule
Exactly.
to listen to us. Yeah, it goes both ways, right?
Yeah.
that's
We
right.
appreciate it. We have received a lot of support,
Hmm.
and we are so overwhelmed with so much support. To be honest, we didn't realize that so many people love us. I guess the Bible's not wrong when it said there's more for you than those who are against you.
That's right.
Right. So we appreciate your support. We love you guys. And if someone under, listening to us tonight going through the same situation and would love to chat, love to talk about it, Patrick and I are open book. You can find us on Facebook, Shawnee Hardy or
Definitely.
Patrick Hardy. And there's a lot that we sort of left out of the testimony to make it shorter, really, and to sort of
Yes,
just get
that's
to the
right.
point.
Hmm.
But there were many other surgeries that I've done. So if you want to reach out to us and just talk, I'm very transparent. I will be there, be a listening ear, and I can talk about my situation. And I just hope that our testimony encourage you, inspire you, and maybe restore your faith,
That's
and
right.
just knowing that God's timing is God's timing, it's not man's timing, and He makes all things wonderful in His time.
For us to make.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Okay, guys, thank you so much for joining, and I pray that you'll have a wonderful week. And I wish you guys all the best. I wish you guys all the best. Mr. Hardy, you are now a daddy, no longer a prospective daddy, but you are now a daddy because I would say the baby is there. I know that you are
Yes.
Yeah.
reading to the baby, you're talking to the baby, so the baby is
Yes,
there. So
He
you,
is. Yes,
Is
He
that?
is.
that's right. I know. So
Mhm.
you are no longer a prospective dad. You are now a dad, and I must say
Mhm.
congratulations to you. Keep keep being
Mhm.
that person that God has ordained you to be. Keep on helping people. Just keep on doing the work of God because what? Once you do that, your blessing will come to your door.
Mhm.
Your blessing will come to your house because of the stuff that you are doing. Then God is will keep on forward His blessings upon you guys as an
Yes.
individual. So again, thank you so much, guys, for being a part of tonight's talk show. I really appreciate it. My soul is so blessed, and I know for sure that my audience are also blessed to sit and hear your testimony. Thank you so much, guys, and I hope that you have a wonderful Sunday evening and a wonderful week starting tomorrow. All right. So again, thank you for
Thank
All right.
joining
you.
and
Thanks.
be blessed.
Thanks,
Thank you
Akeem.
very
Okay.
much
All
for
right.
having
All
us.
right.
Have a good
Good
night.
night,
You're
everybody.
welcome.
Bye.
Bye bye. Take care. Oh my God. Guys, I must say thank you so much for staying here with me tonight to listen Mr. Hardy and Mrs. Hardy testimony. I'm so blessed. I'm so blessed that they were able to share their testimony as a couple, as a marriage couple who have been struggling to start a family. But nonetheless, now they are expecting a baby girl. And Mr. Hardy is no longer a prospective dad. He is now a dad. And I'm just so super excited. And you might find yourself you might know someone that is experiencing the same thing. You might know someone, or you who to tell, maybe in the future you will be in the same situation. But listen to me, just apply faith to your life, because the word of God says once you have faith as small as a mustard seed, then it can move mountain. And I must say, guys, thank you so much for being a part of AS Testimony Talk Show. It is always a pleasure being your host. It is always a pleasure being here to have persons to share their testimony. And I'm just so happy. And I must say thank you rather for all the person who stayed with us tonight to hear the full story of Mr. and Mrs. Hardy testimony. Guys, again, please remember to like, comment, share, and subscribe so persons can hear this powerful testimony. At the end of the day, I am trying to reach 1,000 subscribers by September. By September, I'm hoping that I can reach 1,000 subscribers. So I need your help. Now I'm at 540 subscribers and I have a long way to go. So I need your help. I need your input but I know that by the grace of God, we can do it. We can do it by the grace of God. So please remember to like the video, to subscribe, to comment, to tell a friend about AS Testimony Talk Show so they can also join and be a part of this wonderful talk show that was birthed by King Jesus. Guys, I'm your host, Akeem Smith. But before I go, please again remember to like, comment, subscribe, and share so the work of God can reach others. All right. So again, thank you so much for joining. Once you are a first time subscriber, first time watcher, thank you so much for joining. I appreciate you all. I love you all, and I trust that you'll have a wonderful Sunday evening. I trust that you will have a wonderful week starting tomorrow. I trust that God will just let His blessings pour out onto you all. Again, thank you so much for joining. And I remember again, please to like, comment, share, and subscribe so others can know about AS Testimony Talk Show. I'm your host, Akeem Smith. Do have yourself a wonderful night. Take care.